All right. Hello, YouTube. This is the March edition of the new contributor orientation meeting. Today is the 18th of March, and we are in the APAC EMEA friendly version of this. All meetings in the Kubernetes community abide by a code of conduct, which you can find at the link at the bottom of the slide. It basically sums up: please be respectful of speakers and your fellow attendees, and generally be excellent to each other. Please use the chat to ask questions and have a discussion throughout this call. There will be a Q&A section at the end where we encourage you to ask questions verbally if you want to. A copy of the slides are available on GitHub, and the link to this is also in the meeting invite. Note that on GitHub, the slides are provided as PDF. The links in the deck are not clickable as displayed on GitHub, but when you download the file, they become clickable. All right. The purpose of this meeting is basically to orient you in the Kubernetes community. That means to give you a sense how the community works, what your part could be, and we will start off with a presentation to convey information about the community. Then we will have a Q&A section where you're welcome to ask any questions you would like of your host today. Also, hearing questions that you ask can benefit anyone from watching the recording, so please ask questions verbally during this time. If you're not comfortable, we will also read them out of the chat. To me, hi, I'm Mario. I am your today's host. I am a co-chair of SIG Contrib X, and I'm also a COM sub-project tech lead. And I am also involved in SIG-K's infra. Let's dive into Kubernetes. The Kubernetes community is a very, very, very big group of people who work together to create and maintain the Kubernetes project. We have some numbers that give you a sense how big the community is. We track data of all of our contributions via GitHub and some other contributor tools, and we collect all of the data in DevStats, which is basically a big database that informs about Kubernetes contributions and all of the other CNCF projects, and you're welcome to explore it by yourself as well. We pulled out the stats from November 2024, and in November 2024 we had 92,000 contributors who made 4.4 million contributions, and only 7,400 reviewers that reviewed all of these contributions. What a contribution might mean, what a reviewer mean, we will get there in a bit. When we look at the first 10 years of Kubernetes, you basically can see how large the community grow and how fast it's grown in the last 10 years. And as a lot of you know, we had last year our 10-year anniversary. Now, before we dive deeper into the community, some of you may be unfamiliar with what Kubernetes is and what it does. So Kubernetes is an open source container orchestration tool. Open source means that it's made by people around the world, some of whom are paid to work on it, but many are volunteers. And the code of the Kubernetes software is publicly available under an open source license that describes exactly who, when, and how the software and its source code can be used. And the cool thing is that Kubernetes does is orchestrate containers. Now let's quickly go over what this means. Businesses have many applications they need to run. For example, they may have a payroll application, logistics application, or a company website. These applications need to run somewhere. So businesses also have a lot of computers to run these applications on. Kubernetes enable business to say, hey, Kubernetes, here's the computer I have, and here's the app that I need to run, and you describe various level of detail on how the application or what the application needs to run, and what hardware it might need, and Kubernetes will run it on a machine for you. It also provides some handy functionality for managing the application while it's running. For example, it can provide some help for the process of updating the application to a new version, or removing the application from the cluster. And exactly how all this magic is being done, that's basically what the Kubernetes maintainers are working on every day. So let's look at the Kubernetes community. So Kubernetes is an open source project within the Cloud Native Foundation, which is shortly called CNCF. The CNCF is a non-profit organization, and with the stated mission to make cloud native ubiquitous. To that end, they support a lot of open source projects and to enable companies to run applications in the cloud or build their own cloud. I think we are currently at about 200 something projects in the CNCF. To that end, they support many open source projects that they look after, and Kubernetes is one of them. The CNCF provides a variety of guidance and support to the project, including legal support, code of conduct, help with logos, copyright, and so on. The pyramid below the CNCF represents the structure of the Kubernetes community. At the top, interfering the most with the CNCF and presiding over various topics that affect the entire community and the project is the steering committee. This is a body of 7 members who are elected by Kubernetes org members. We will go in a second about what an org member is. And they are basically the governing body of the Kubernetes project. With a project so large, there are different concepts within the project that needs a different and a unique skill set and knowledge. For example, the way Kubernetes knows where workloads run, do what they is one of an area of expertise. Meanwhile, we have the challenge of writing and maintaining Kubernetes stocks, and we need which needs a whole set of different expertise from people. And the specific areas of the project are gathered together in what is called special interest groups. These break up work of building and maintaining the Kubernetes project into more sensible chunks. Sometimes, however, there are big areas that need attention that are both significant and cut across SIGs. So sometimes we split out what is called a working group. A working group is generally a temporary created to address a specific issue, and they mean to disappear eventually into either a SIG or will create another SIG. So the defined characteristics of a working group is that they generally don't own any code or features, at least not long term. Working groups work either is or will be owned by one or more SIGs by the time the working group dissolves. And as I mentioned, we also have the option to create a new SIG out of a working group. But even the work of one SIG can be quite broad in scope. There can be hundreds of contributors to a single SIG. So SIGs further break down their work into sub-projects. Currently, we have 24 special interest groups. We have 7 working groups, and we have 3 committees in our community. We can further group the SIG and working groups by their scope. So some groups operate on a project level, and all the work the project and all of the other work of the project is depending on them. Some groups work at the horizontal level, meaning that they have technical focus that is both deep and broad and own core functionality from a project architecture perspective. Vertical groups have deep specific technical focus that depends on the work of horizontal groups. And of course, both horizontal and vertical groups depend on the work of the project groups. So here we have a diagram of all of the 6 and working groups currently active in the Kubernetes project. To call out just a few, we have SIG release and docs, and there are groups whose work you might be familiar with, and they operate on a project scope level. Though you have not known it, you probably encountered the work of SIG API machinery and SIG auth before. We consider these groups to be horizontal groups. In the vertical groups, you can find a lot of familiar concepts like cluster autoscaling, scheduling, networking, SIG node, and you might want to go back to this diagram later, and when you're exploring the different groups and how to contribute to them, also to feel free to ask questions about them in our Q&A, or you can also write them in the chat already. Now we have learned the basics of how our community is structured. So let's have a look at where you can fit in. But firstly, we should establish why you might want to contribute. There are many reasons why people contribute to the Kubernetes community. For some, this is a job requirement. There are also contributors who work with the community on a purely volunteer base. There are also those who are somewhere in the middle where their work needs them to contribute sometimes, but they also do extra work for the community outside of their job. So why do many people contribute without getting paid? They may want to grow a specific skill in their resume, or they want to meet new people working in this industry, or they may just want to, they like the technology and they want a deep dive to build, to help build it, or sometimes people just like being part of a community working towards a similar goal. You should think carefully about why you want to contribute. Because if the more and more you get engaged within the community, you will get more and more out of it. You can clearly tell also people what you want to get out of it. So if others know who you are and what you want and what you can do, they can more easily find work for you, create opportunities, and also give you connections that where you can basically benefit from. Regardless of why you might be interested in contributing, you probably wondering is what it means to be a contributor. To answer this question, what it means to be a contributor, let's first explore what might count as a contribution. And the problem is that this is not so easily answered, because anything that you do to work for the Kubernetes project is a welcome and valued contribution. That sounds broad and vague, but it's important. There's a lot of work contributors do behind the scenes to make this project run, and it's certainly not all writing code and making pull requests on GitHub. That said, it can certainly help to have some examples. Here are a few examples that might help you to get through all of this, and some of them you have known. For example, did you start off by posting a hello message in the Kubernetes new contributors channel in Kubernetes Slack? That's a contribution. Have you commented on an issue or a proposal or for a feature to share your thoughts or opinions? That's a contribution. Even watching and attending this meeting right now is a contribution. As a community, we try our best to acknowledge and appreciate contributions to the community in many forms. But if so many vague and varied things can count as a contribution, then what does it mean to be a contributor? There are varying levels of being a contributor. You might remember our slide earlier where we mentioned contributors and reviewers. This slide now dives more into detail of what those terms mean. Starting at the bottom, anyone can be a contributor. So if you did any of the things mentioned in the previous slide and more, you're already a contributor. If you contribute to the community in a way that's what you might, in this way, you might be called a non-member contributor. This means that you pop in the community, contribute in a small and disconnected way, and then basically move on. But if you want to get really, really involved in the community, you might want to go for org membership. An org member refers to a member of the Kubernetes organization on GitHub. Being an org member gives you higher privileges to interact with the tools contributors use to do their work, like Prow in GitHub, which basically helps us to apply labels, configure issues using GitHub comments. Having org membership is also a sign that you're an active and engaged contributor who intends to contribute in a more structured way within the community. You're not just picking up a single issue or asking a one-off question. You're probably developing expertise in a certain area of projects. You might want to be contributing to one or more sub-projects or 6 in a consistent and measurable way. So this will get you an org membership, and the org membership is basically some other contributors who are familiar with your work, say that you're a trusted member and vouch for you as a sponsor for your request for membership. The important thing is only one of the sponsors can be from your company. Beyond becoming an org member, there are increasing levels of trust, ownership, and responsibility that you could choose to pursue. Once you've been engaged in an area for a while, you might have enough knowledge to help review contributions or pull requests from other contributors. Eventually, you might be trusted enough to have the final say wherever the code is merged or a contribution is accepted and displayed on something like the Kubernetes IO website. Then you would become an approver. If you become a strong expert in a specific area who is highly trusted and regarded for your expertise, you might take on new responsibilities. You might become the person others come to with questions. You might lead triage sessions or work for the area. At this point, you become a sub-project owner. If you're an expert who starts leading things in that area, also take on more responsibilities for various resources within that area, how they relate to other parts of the project. For example, you might take the responsibility of README files, defining a whole sub-project, which where people would go to and learn about the sub-project, and you might become the contact person who triages requests from other parts of the project. At this point, you get a sub-project lead. If you're leading a whole sub-project, that's a considerable chunk of work within a SIG, you're probably interacting and collaborating with leads of other sub-projects, and you're probably developing a pretty strong sense of mission objectives and ongoing work of the SIG as a whole. At that point, you may become a chair or tech lead for an entire special interest group. If you remember our community structure diagram from earlier, you might wonder if becoming a member of steering committee would be the next step, but steering is an elected position. You can actually run for steering at any point past org membership, but of course it's more likely that you will be elected the better other contributors know you and know your work. This ladder might seem like one path of truth, but we want to remind you there's no single path for your contribution journey. Most contributors end up contributing to multiple areas of the project. Some people even develop ownership in different SIGs at the same time. Just because you're learning and contributing in one SIG doesn't mean that you can't check out another. Remember, most contributors are at least partial volunteers. Almost everyone contributing is doing it because they love it. So look around, find what you love, and then do that. Now you know the basics of how the community is structured and how you might fit into it. We have established you might be already a non-member contributor, but you want to do more for contribution. So let's explore where you can start. The fastest and easiest way to make yourself useful will be to find a SIG that suits your interests and just starting getting involved there. And the important part is that this might not mean that you are immediately picking up issues, which means that this also does not mean necessarily to write code. The easiest and most convenient way to getting involved is attend meetings, read notes, and read existing issues, and just generally start to get a feel of what each of those SIGs does. We have a mailing list with, and also we have a Slack channel. Most of the communication happens in Slack, but also a lot of official communication happens over the mailing list. So the primary way to get announcements is to join our KDev mailing list. Let's explore how SIGs and where you can find the information about this. So where you can start learning is the easiest way is you go to github.com/kubernetes/community, and there you can find our community repo. In this repository, you can find folders containing information about each SIG and working group. When you click on a SIG folder in the community repo, it will show you that folder's README at the top of the file. You'll find a brief summary of SIG focus area and likely a link to their more detailed team charter. This will give you a broad, high-level idea of what the SIG does. Below the summary of the group, you'll find information about where the group meets. Attending meetings, as mentioned, is a great way to learn about what the group is actually working on and how they do their work. Attending meeting is also a great way to start getting known to a group of people you're interested in working with, and also for them to meet you. You'll also find information about SIG leadership. Most SIGs have both a concept of chairs and tech leads. These leaders are at the same level of trust and responsibility, but they own different types of tasks supporting the SIG. So chairs to do more like project management work, and tech leads tend to more do architectural leadership, like managing repos and certain kinds of technology decisions and processes. Each SIG defines what those roles mean to them. You'll also find contact information for the SIGs there. Most SIGs in Kubernetes do a lot with asynchronous communication in their channels within the Kubernetes Slack, which you can join by visiting slack.kubernetes.io. Each SIG also has a mailing list. Important announcements for all contributors to the SIG go out via the mailing list, and the mailing list also will share the invite for all of the meetings. And you also get access to specific shared files that are that are on the drive. Their access is usually limited through joining the mailing list. You can also find information about where to find issues and PRs related to that SIG and other information like GitHub teams that are part of the SIG. Also, every contributor should join the Kubernetes.dev Google group, as mentioned, because there we share important information throughout the project. Checking out each SIGs folder will show you lots of information about specific SIGs. But what if you want to find information about all of the SIG meetings? We maintain a website which is called kds.dev, and within kds.dev we have a page that has the information about all public community meetings. So you can go to kds.dev/calendar to see a list of all of the meetings. Clicking on one of them will bring up a new window to add it to the meeting to your calendar. And this is also a great way to get a sense for which groups meet at times that might work for you. We have started, or a lot of SIGs have started to basically have an APAC friendly meeting and an American time zone friendly meeting. So you can sometimes find two of the meetings. So check out the time zones that works. And we have a question. What group initial contribute to? I am interested in resume building and collaborate with techies, how to contribute to docs, correcting spelling and grammatical errors. So basically you can start in any SIG because there's no like this is the starting point for a SIG. But when you want to work on docs, the SIG that is responsible for the Kubernetes IO website and especially the documentation, this would be SIG Docs. SIG Docs has also a new member meeting, which they will talk specifically about SIG Docs topics for new joiners. But we will get to working opportunities right after this slide. So as we mentioned, we have now the community and see how it's structured and where you can fit in and where you can find all of the information. What we usually do is we reach out to the different SIG leads to ask them each month to share their working tasks. So we can now see evergreen opportunities that are available for all of the SIGs usually, and specific ones for the some other SIGs. So for most of the SIGs, what you can always do is when you join meetings, we always need people that are note takers. So basically, taking notes also gets you a feel of what is being discussed in the meeting, and we do not need does not require too much technical background or sub-project specific knowledge. And it's a great help for everyone in the meeting. For SIG Contrib X, we have in the sub-project of comms, we have a spotlight blog, which is basically we write blog posts about special interest groups. And for those, we talk, people write those blog posts, and this blog post usually gets published on kubernetes.io and kubernetes.dev. So this is also a chance to have a publication on the kubernetes.io website. We also have the Maintainer Summit, which happens usually 2 times a year, one time for KubeCon North America, one time at KubeCon Europe. So the next Maintainer Summit will be happening in 2 weeks' time in London. And we usually have an events team there, and the events team is helping with internal comms and also creating the or reviewing the talks that are proposed for the Kubernetes track. The Maintainer Summit is also in collaboration with the CNCF, and we include also, or there's also a lot of all of the other CNCF projects are included in this Maintainer Summit. As mentioned and before, we have also the evergreen opportunities for SIG Docs. SIG Docs has a PR Wrangler shadow program, so they diverse a little bit from the reviewer position. So everyone can be a reviewer in the SIG Docs project with this shadow program. And as mentioned, they have a new contributor meet and greet meeting, which is the first Tuesday of every month at 10:30 a.m. UTC. And you can find out more information about this on github.com/kubernetes/community/sig-docs. So, can I pick up this task? This is an interesting question. Evergreen opportunities are great because they represent work that needs always be doing and which is likely well defined, but a lot of work is one-off style. An issue needs fixing or work on a new feature, or many of these types of tasks require certain skills to complete. You might see an open request that requires skill you want to develop and think, hey, I should pick up this task and learn. But be careful of this. If a task was easy for someone, someone would already have done it. It is an open request because it requires a special set of skill, which either no one in the community currently has, or no one in the community don't have the time to work on this. So there is no one that can basically teach you or mentor you doing this. We have once in a while mentorings, specific mentoring sessions, but this is usually communicated throughout our social media channels. If you already have a certain skill set and you're coming to the community with skills like certain programming language or specific technical skills like Linux networking or expertise in a certain cloud provider, these tasks could be a great opportunity for you to contribute. We just want to highlight that it is really hard learning skills while doing the task. So we have now a list of open work that our current calls for help that have specific task requirements. So for ContribX, we are looking for website maintenance, which requires you to have knowledge in Hugo Doxy. We also are looking for help in the mentoring program, which is to help set up and execute the Kubernetes group mentoring program. For this, we need to have organization skills, planning, and communication skills. And we also need help for aligning with the open source project or open source mentoring programs for LFX, Google Summer of Code, and so on. So basically what you need to have is a familiarity with the Kubernetes community, program management, and communications. We also are looking for help for our voting tool. Our voting tool is Electo. This is the tool that we use to run elections in. There we would need knowledge in Python and Flask. For SIG-Docs, we need help for reviewing blogs, which basically requires you to be familiar with our style guide, content guide, and our review PR guide. And we also need help for localization. So localization means that we have a lot of local translations for the Kubernetes docs, and you need to be then fluent in English and at least the other language that you want to translate. SIG testing. SIG testing needs help with Prow. Prow is our own bot, so we would need to have people that can help develop Prow and maintaining Prow. We also need help for the conformance testing project, which is Hydrophone. There we would need feedback and help enabling the adoption of new conformance testing tools for end users. For SIG Arch, this is a general call for help. We want to get known to a broader, and it's also a chance to get known to a broader area of the project. Skills that we need is willingness to learn and be engaged over a significant period of time. The easiest way to get involved there is to pop into the SIG Arch channel in Slack. For SIG Network, we are looking for help to rebuild to build the Ingrid Nginx Gateway API implementation from scratch. And we also need API reviewers. The problem with this is that you need to have familiarity with the work of SIG networking. For SIG release, we're looking for help for release automation, which is a lot of coding, scripting, and also to help to support the release process over a period of time. And the next big call for help is SIG security. SIG security is help Kubernetes to understand and address CVEs. And the requirement that we have there is that you are familiar with CVEs and security concepts. Before we continue, are there any questions? If not, let's continue. Now I lost my window. Yeah. Common contributor pitfalls. Let's talk quickly about this. A common contributor pitfall is falling into the good first issue trap. So usually it goes like this. You want to contribute to a new project and you find an issue that is labeled with good first issue in GitHub. And you think, hey, that's cool. I can claim this issue. I write some code and I contributed to Kubernetes. So let's take a step back. Once you picked up the good first issue, how are you going to complete it? I mentioned earlier that the Kubernetes community uses tools like Prow to help manage our issues. Are you familiar with the bot? If not, that's fine. Maybe you just started writing code. Those reviewers, approvers, owners we mentioned will appear just to make sure the issue has the right label and stuff on it. Once you've written your code, you also need to get their attention to review your PR. Remember, there's a lot of more contributions than there are reviewers. So when you make your PR, reviewers and approvers will automatically be assigned. But what if there's an issue in your code? You might need to go back and forth with the reviewers on GitHub. Are you comfortable using comments and pull requests to see this work to completion? Most of the good first issues that get picked by new non-member contributors never make it to completion. The code never gets checked in, and the community has then stalled issues and PR sitting around for work we really would have needed done, but the person got lost and ended up abandoning their contribution halfway. Then those reviewers and approvers and owners have to go through the process of triaging the issue and opening it again, and or whatever they want to do with it. You can avoid getting stuck in this trap by joining a SIG and sticking with it. When you know the people you're working with and the goals you're working towards, you can be a valuable part of not just doing the work, but also making sure the work gets done. So, long story short is good first issues might not be good first issues. The best way to get involved and to find really a good first issue is to join SIG meetings and work with them. And basically, that also answers the question that Sunkara wrote for your current calls for help. How do you choose one? So we covered this earlier when we said that choose a specific area of interest that interests you where you think that you like to work on. And we also have a lot of folks that started in a different area of the SIG, or in a different SIG, and ended up in a whole different area. So the easiest way is read through the community, search for the SIGs, what they are doing, and then join those meetings of those SIGs. While contributing, how can I test the code is working as expected to use? This is not an generally easy answer question, because each SIG has their own tests, each SIG has their own test stack. So as mentioned, this is not something that can be answered for a project-wide level. So this can be answered from the different SIGs and the different parts of the project you're working on. So as mentioned, the easiest way is figure out what SIG interests you the most, and then join those SIG meetings. This was a lot of information today, and this was just an orientation meeting. When you join your first SIG meeting, you're probably going to be overwhelmed. A lot of SIG meetings exist for active existing contributors to collaborate with each other on active in-progress work. That doesn't mean you shouldn't join as a new contributor. You'll learn faster by joining these meetings and watching the process in action. But it might mean that you feel left out and lost the first few times. Don't be afraid to ask questions by speaking up and asking in the chat, or asking in the SIG or sub-project Slack later. Everyone basically wants to help you and to get started and answer your questions. The Kubernetes community is a big, diverse place. It's diverse in terms of people, skills, technology, and so much more. It might take you a while to find a place that clicks with you. There might be a particular SIG or sub-project where you find more opportunities to build skills or connections that are most important to you. Don't forget that you can move around and explore other groups within the project. Most contributors end up contributing in multiple areas, and many find a particular area that they dive deep on. Also, no two contributors have the same journey. So you need to explore and find the best place for yourself. Regardless of which areas you explore, we always need your help, and we are glad that you're here. So we've covered a lot today. Getting started in the Kubernetes community means also learning a lot of tools, processes, structures, and more. We've created a list of links that you can basically refer to often, where you can also find a lot of information. For example, we also have a new first contribution guide on our website that helps you to navigate towards your first pull request. We look forward that you're working with us, and welcome you as new future maintainers. And are there any more questions?
Hi, I'm working on a Kubernetes distribution, micro-K8s and canonical K8s, and I've been focusing mostly on the alternative to an etcd backend. So we use DQLite. So I'm interested in joining a SIG that's on the K8s API server storage side. Which ones of those would be relevant?
I mean, storage side is obviously SIG storage. And for API, we have, let me say, let's go back to our overview. There it is. We have SIG API, API machinery, which should be interesting for you. I'm not sure if SIG Cloud Provider is still active, because especially if you are working for a not contribution, but if you are working on a distro from a vendor, this might be helpful. There's also something, and this is pure knowledge because I know it, because the announcement from Canonical was interestingly received by the Kubernetes community. We have the working group LTS, which might be interesting for you as well.
Yes, I'm also interested in that one.
Yeah, so we have a working group that is called LTS, which is the main topic on publishing a long-term support version of Kubernetes. So this might be interesting for you as well. Bahram,
Certainly, thanks.
No worries. Bahram, the document is shared in the invite of this meeting. Maybe I can copy it also here. Let me. Addresses. Let's copy. All right. This is not what I wanted to do, but it's working. So basically, there you can see the slides of this meeting. Any other question? If not, thank you so much for joining this meeting. As mentioned, also for you, Luise, the easiest way to find meeting times is SIG calendar. Sorry, kns.dev/calendar, where you can see all of the meeting times and meeting invites, or go to the Kubernetes/community to get also the different informations about all of the different SIGs. With this, I wish you a very, very nice rest of the week. And maybe we see each other in the future. Hopefully, we will see each other in the future in one or the other SIG meeting, and also maybe at KubeCon. Thanks, everyone. I will stop the recording.